And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm taking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727. For some reason, I'm unable to hear myself in my headphones. No big deal. Welcome. Look, sorry for the delay. Apparently, the GFQ network basically went down today. It was so busy from their afternoon broadcast that they crashed their servers. So if you are watching through thebaldtruth.com and through all the other online resources, you're going to notice that there's no chat room attached to the player because GFQ is, the servers are down. So as you know, GFQ are the guys that run the chat. Thank God I have nothing to do with that. And today we are chat free. And I got to tell you, it's a little liberating, to tell you the truth. I like it. I really do. Maybe we can just conduct this like, old school, like the radio show that it was for so many years. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. If you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I'm a consumer advocate for men and women suffering with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And I am a guy who has been dealing with hair loss for over 2 decades. Now, if you're seeing me for the first time and you're looking at me and saying, wait a second, this guy looks like he's got some hair in his head. Well, I am one of the fortunate ones. I'm one of the guys that, for whatever reason, luck or having the wherewithal, but I was lucky enough to find FDA-approved treatment and start to utilize and use FDA-approved treatment, drugs, to treat my hair loss in time. Now, sadly, when I started to lose my hair in the late 80s, that's how old I am, I'm 48 years old, there's really nothing out there. All we had were the snake oils and the lotions and potions, all of the insane, archaic surgeries that were being performed back in the day. But I was lucky enough to get my hands on minoxidil early on. I'm hearing some weird sounds coming from the mic. Early on, and way before it was approved by the FDA for the treatment of hair loss. I had a doctor that compounded, the tablet form, Lonitin form of minoxidil, basically wrote a prescription to a compounding pharmacy, or for me to bring it to a compounding pharmacy. They have this product basically manufactured, put together by the pharmacist, and spread this crap on my head. Now, it was a mess. But I will tell you that it definitely gave me some time. It saved my hair, I would say, for at least a year and a half, until I was able to get Rogaine, until Rogaine was actually approved by the FDA. So I was lucky enough to start relatively early on with FDA-approved treatments. And then it kind of held my hair for several years until I discovered finasteride, which is now marketed as Propecia. It was approved by the FDA for the treatment of hair loss in December of 1997. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on it around 94, 95. And, to make a long story short, that is how I've been able to keep so much hair in my head. Now, just to provide full disclosure, this is a partial sham. I do not have a full head of hair. It is a partial comb over. I have hairspray, a lot of hairspray, and some makeup on my scalp to make what I have look like a fuller head of hair. But I'm cool with that. It's not a big deal for me. I'm 48 years old, and I should be very bald by now. And I feel so fortunate that I was able to make the right moves, that I had the wherewithal to avoid all the pitfalls that I try to teach you guys about, and to have the luck to be a great responder or a good responder to FDA-approved medication. I think it's important for all you young guys to know that when I started this process, we had nothing. And for all you guys out there who are complaining about the products and services that we have today that actually work, imagine what it was like for us back in the day. You guys have real hope now if you choose to do something about your hair loss. I'm not saying that's always the right route or route, depending on where in the country you come from. What I am saying is we have real options now, but with all those options, we are still faced with so much bullshit that is being marketed on the internet. So much bullshit that is being promoted through all of the thousands upon thousands of websites that pop up every single day promoting some bogus product or service, some effing snake oil. You know, it seems that the more information that's out there about this, because when I started there was nothing, the more difficult it is for people to decipher what is, fact from fiction. Now, there's a guy that has been in the industry for a long time that is, has been a friend of the Bald Truth for many, many years. Had him on the broadcast last week. I'm inviting him on again this week. We may make it a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing or whatever. We got a great response from having him on the air last week. You know him as Joe Tronic online. His name is Joe Tillman. He is the original hair transplant mentor, and he has some effing stories to tell. This guy has been through everything, as much as I've been through. He's been through worse because he actually took the surgical route back in the day when, mini micrographs were really the norm. And he was sold a bill of goods, like so many people are sold, even to this day. So we really value his participation and his insight here at the Bald Truth. So we wanted to bring him on again this week. Joe, man, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How's it sound? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I mean, you're a little low. Maybe Andrew or Suncast can bring up your volume.
How about that? Let's see. Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay. So I'm good. I had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Had a party at our place here at the Compound North. You like that? I'm taking it.
I love it.
Compound North on Saturday night. We got a new addition to the family. It's called a piano, and so we had a piano.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. It's pretty cool. My wife's a concert pianist, and we just haven't had a piano in the house since we moved here, and so it's like, hey, let's go ahead and get one, and so we did, and so had some people over, and she broke out the microphone and the amp, and so there's some alcoholic bass singing going on, so that was always fun, and then Sunday we had a barbecue out on the beach, 30-40 of our closest friends, just a great weekend, fantastic.
Well, that's good. We actually have a Petrov in the house piano.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah. So obviously your wife has good taste and she understands what she's playing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, she's got a handle on it.
Yeah. So we have to make sure that it's tuned when you guys come over next time.
Right on. Okay. I take that as an invitation.
Nah, recorded. You know what? I have to ask the wife.
Of course.
I'm just kidding. So, listen, here's the good news. There's no chat tonight. And I don't know, I don't know how you feel about that, but I actually think, that the chat room is incredibly distracting to really put out a quality broadcast. Now, I understand that is the way things are done today. I understand that, as an internet broadcaster, that I have to have all of these options. I have to bring up my sound readily available for for everybody, so that they can participate not only by calling into the program, but there has to be some sort of online interaction. When I was running the chat was private, and we only allowed vetted friends of the Bald Truth into the chat room. That's not the way GFQ runs, and I understand why. But sometimes it gets a little insane in there, and
It
I kind
does.
of feel
I've seen that, and
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It is distracting, but at the same time, I do see the value. If there's a good flow going in there, and in the past when we've been chatting on air, I'll glance into the room and I'll see something that might give me an idea for something to talk about. And it's valuable to see what some of these guys are saying, but at the same time, it is distracting because I might be in mid thought and I see something pop up and lose my train of thought. And so, yeah, I can see both sides of the coin, but it's the interwebs, man, and we gotta grasp it. We gotta embrace it.
Well, that's the thing. There was a time when I started this broadcast when it was just me and a microphone. I didn't run my own board. I just sat behind that mic, and all I had to worry about was the sound coming through my headphones, and everyone else in the control room took care of everything. Now it's like I'm a one-man band. Now, I'm having actually tonight's Suncast is producing the show from Detroit because Andrew is having people over for dinner. So, normally I produce the entire broadcast myself, but since we're piping you in, and because I've had some issues sending a dual feed through Skype to these guys, I decided to let them produce the program. But normally it's all on my shoulders. And then you got to deal with the chat, and you have to. Suncast just wrote something very funny, and then you have to deal with the chat, and then I have to deal with the phone calls, and I have to deal with trying to figure out what the fuck to say on this broadcast, and interact with who my guest is or who my callers are. I kind of think this is. I don't know. It's a little freeing. And listen, I'm old school, so I'm probably wrong, and I know that we were going to go back to the chat. I would just prefer not to have it, but I know that it's a necessary evil. It's a necessary evil.
It is, but hey, that's the price of progress, right? But hey, I got a question for you. I don't want to forget this.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the intro. You're talking about how you FDA approved drugs and you started early and had the Lonitin crushed up and mixed into a delivery system. How the hell did you figure out about Lonitin being good for your hair back before Rogaine came out? How did you learn about this? I've never asked you this, and I've been curious.
Yeah, well, actually, I was doing my own old school archaic research when there was no internet, and I read about drugs being tested for hair loss. And at the time, Upjohn was testing minoxidil, Lonitin, for the treatment of hair loss. And I was like, wait a second, this is, maybe this is promising. If this is going to be something that's, they're working on that will come down the pike eventually, I want to speak to my doctor about it. And I spoke to my doctor about it. And he referred me to a dermatologist who said, yeah, you know what, we have, been trying this for a while. We're not exactly sure if it's working. This is really early on, but I'd be more than happy to put something together for you and see if the pharmacist can, compound it for you and see how it works. So I was definitely an early guinea pig when it comes to minoxidil use, and it worked. Unfortunately, what happened was you woke up with this white crust on your head, but you definitely got some absorption. The drug absorbed into my scalp, and there's no doubt that it slowed the progression of my hair loss for at least a year.
Well, it's interesting because, before I had the work with Dr. Wong, I never gave it a second thought. I never looked for anything to grow my hair back. I tried Rogaine back in the early 90s after my first 2 procedures, and I did that for like 6 weeks, and I read something on the side effects that just kind of scared me off, and I never went back to it. But after that point, and this is like 1996, I think, or maybe 95, I never looked back. I never researched. I just put it in the back of my mind as just something, I chalked it up as something I was going to have to accept. And
right.
I never gave it a second thought after that. And it wasn't until, several years later that I was in a position where I had to get more surgery done that Dr. Wong told me about Propecia. But before that, it was a non-issue. I accepted it. I owned it, if you will, and just decided to live with it.
Well, listen, I think, for a lot of guys, I think that's a great decision. But you were unfortunately put in a position where you really couldn't really just live with it. You know, you went under the knife early on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much hair you had when you decided to have your first surgery. I mean, I know that you present yourself online as Norwood 6 at the time, but were you that far gone initially?
No, when I was 22, when I look back at pictures, which are on my website, hairtransplantmentor.com, in the before surgery section, and I was like maybe a 2A. I was about a 2A with a weak hairline, and the crown was starting to thin. I mean, it was if you were to pick at it, you could see that it was going, and so I wasn't really in need of a hair transplant, and that's the whole thing that initially pissed me off about being talked into it by the doctor to begin with. Was I wasn't in need of a hair transplant. I was a 2A at worst in the front, and he put all the work behind my existing hairline, shocked the hell out of it, and eventually, had all the plaguey grafts sticking through. I had a second surgery the same year, and yeah, it's like I said last week. I asked my first intelligent question after my second surgery, or during my second surgery, when I'm sitting in the chair, and I said, "What's going to happen when I lose more hair?" And he looked at me and said, "Son, you're not going to lose more hair until you're about 50, and by then I'll be retired." Or some BS like that, right?
Yeah, I remember that. That's the thing. When I see these young guys online who are just so pissed off, who are just bitching about that there's not enough out there, that they it's been 20 years since the last breakthrough, or whenever, since 1997, since the last real breakthrough, and there's nothing out since, and that these companies are resting on their laurels, and there should be so much more for us right now. When we were at that stage, there was really nothing, and you unfortunately were just drawn into the typical hair transplant bullshit, especially back in the day. The fact that he would sell you a hair transplant when you were Norwood 2.5 at 22 years old. And, there was just no information out there. If it was today, you would have gotten online and you would have taken 5 minutes to read about it. And you probably wouldn't have pulled that trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a completely different world today. I mean, it's something I'm glad that the younger guys have, or the newer guys have, that I didn't have, that you didn't have. And, unfortunately for me, I did pull the trigger. Fortunately for you, you didn't. You and I took two completely opposite paths.
Yeah.
And ironically, we'll wind up in the same place tonight. But it's funny. I mean, I was talking to a guy. Was today Tuesday? On Friday, and he was telling me about he was diagnosed by another doctor to have 3,000 grafts in the front. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. There's nothing unusual about that. And he sent me his pictures, and I'm looking at him. It's like, this guy's got a full head of hair. And so I asked him, are you actually combing your hair to hide anything? He goes, no, I'm not. That's my hair. And I said, well, where the hell are the grafts supposed to go? Where did the doctor say he's going to put the hair? And he said, well, in the front. I'm like, you have a full head of hair. And I don't mean like an adult full head of hair. The guy was 40 years old. I mean, he looked like he had a 20-year-old head of hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And in his mind, he's losing some hair. His appearance is changing. And he went out to seek some advice. Whoever he went to, whether it was he found them online or from an ad or from an infomercial, he just said to himself, you know what, it's changing. Even though you're 40 years old, no one wants to see that change. The guy's lucky enough to keep the hair that he did for so many years, no matter what stage you are in life, when you see that change, it affects you. So he just probably figured, you know what, it's 2013. I can do something about this now. I'm going to seek the advice of a doctor and see what I can do as far as transplanting my hair. And that's the advice some of these guys give. And, frankly, I'm glad that this guy was able to speak with you. I mean, who knows what could have happened if this guy followed through with this type of surgery? With 3,000,
it would have been decimating for him.
He would have had incredible shock loss. His life would have been changed. It would have been irreparable, in my opinion.
Right. No, absolutely. And, it's just, the notion of this guy having a hair transplant, I was really shocked that anyone would even recommend it, because, you know, I mean, I can't stress enough, he had like Brad Pitt hair when Brad Pitt was 20, but this guy's 40. It was one of the craziest heads of hair I've seen. But, you know, the other point of this is that I can see his perspective, which is why I don't dismiss guys like this and tell them that they're idiots or anything like that. I tell them, you know, it is relative, right? I mean, these guys that have full heads of hair, especially for so long, like a 40-year-old, as you do get older, your hair does change, or you know, your texture changes, or you know, you might develop a wave, or you know, things that make you wonder or freak out about what's going on with your hair. And so you are going to go seek a specialist, and it's a matter of, you know, will that specialist take advantage of his position of power, so to speak, in talking to something that's not necessary. And unfortunately,
3,000 grafts though,
yeah, I know,
fairly receded. That's awesome, man. I mean, I don't even want to ask you who the doctor was.
It wasn't even receded. That's just the crazy part. There was no recession on this guy. I mean, I thought that he was hiding it. Like, you know, some guys will brush it forward to cover their temples. There was none of that going on. The hair was brushed back, and you could see each hair like in the temple.
Wow.
It was,
let me go to the phone number.
Yeah,
it's
it's crazy.
888-659-3727. You have any questions, concerns? You just need to vent. This is your safe place. Feel free to give us a call. Ask us anything and everything about hair loss. Let's take a phone call, Joe. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Joe, man, what's happening?
Joe.
Happy birthday, Spencer.
Thank you. Is today my anniversary?
15 years on the air, man.
Today?
I don't know the exact dates, but it's 1998. About this time, I believe.
Jesus
Could be off a week.
Christ, I can't believe it. 15 years, and I'm still doing this.
Well, so am I.
I know.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, but you just get to call in. I got to run the whole shebang.
Well, luckily my son woke me up, because I didn't know you were on the air tonight. Your staff didn't alert me. I figure you're a bi-weekly show now.
Yeah, you know, we sent out we weren't actually sure, to tell you the truth, and we sent out a last-minute post on the message forum for people to call.
I didn't receive any emails, though, from your staff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I just have a couple things to say, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have no real news. I have to give Joe Tronick an apology. I think I kind of caused a firestorm between him and Dr. Cole online.
Really?
I think Joe can elaborate on that.
What kind of?
You did?
First of all, do you want to? Would you like me to do your opening, Joe?
Yes, if you don't mind. So hey, well, one thing. By the way, at the chat room, I was all upset. I was going to give a speech about it. I was banned from the chat room, but that's irrelevant tonight. So we'll save that for next time.
Well, you can talk about it though. But let me do your opening.
Okay.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like me to reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, I have to say that you sound extremely lucid tonight.
Yes, I've been sleeping all day, Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, you sound actually you sound like a normal person. You don't sound like you're on any pills or drinking or anything like that.
Actually, I'm not this evening. I'm trying to be more lucid and trying to be more serious on the show. I've been a heavy correspondent with Dave Bautista and Jerry all day.
Really?
I'm actually normal tonight, so after the vicious attack by your producer last week.
Which producer?
I'm still trying to get over that.
Which producer?
A man I love and respect turned on me, and it was terrible, Spencer.
Who turned on you?
I cried all week. What?
Who turned on you?
I have to mention your producer. Do I have to mention his name? Should I?
I'm the producer. I don't know who you're talking about.
Andrew Zarian threw me out of the chat room. Banned me from the chat room.
Dude, that is Andrew Zarian's chat room. If you are effing with the chat room, if he doesn't like what's going on, GFQ has the right to kick anybody out. I have no control over that.
No, I'm blaming you, but Spencer, this is America. the First Amendment guarantees the right to free speech. Am I correct or not?
No. There's no free speech in a private platform. I mean, you guys, that's why I don't understand you guys. It's amazing. People think that they can go on message forums and they can go into chat rooms and they can say whatever the fuck they want. These are privately owned platforms. Period. If someone doesn't like what you have to say, and if they are paying for and running that platform, they can kick your ass out. How is that? But how is that? And think about it. How is that even unreasonable? I mean, people just don't get that. They think, and I find it interesting. People who frequent message forums think that, they have the right to do whatever they want to do. You know what? You have the right to do whatever you want to do on your own vehicle, through your own platform. As long as you're within the legal parameters of the First Amendment, then you do whatever you want to do. You can't defame somebody, but you can say and do whatever you want to do. But it doesn't necessarily. But that doesn't translate to someone else's platform or someone else's. You have to kind of look at it this way. Do you think you can go into someone's place of business? They're paying rent. They have a storefront, and say, you know what? Go in there and scream, I hate what you're doing. I think the whatever handbags that you're selling are shit. You get your ass kicked out. And people on the internet think they can do that on, in chat rooms or on forums, whatever it is. People own these things. These are businesses for most people. Anyway, Joe,
but this man has put a knife on my heart. Well, I know you have other callers.
It's all right. No, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. I mean, Joe, do you know what I'm saying?
All I said was
I'm talking to Joe Tillman, though. Joe.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's, there's money invested in this and time and man hours and, public platforms, absolutely free speech. But when you are granted the right, what's the word I'm looking for? The right, the privilege.
You are provided with it's a privilege. It's not a right, I should say. It's a privilege to have the opportunity to interact, through Andrew's forum, Andrew's chat room, for instance. And if he doesn't like what you're saying, if he thinks that the mood or not the mood, but he thinks that it's becoming a place that's difficult to control, and he doesn't like what's being said in there, it's his chat room. He has the right to kick your ass out.
But don't think you mean a little latitude, knowing that I've been with you for 15 years? I mean,
I don't think so. I think that, I give you latitude because you've been calling the show and been a part of the show for 15 years. He doesn't have to do anything. It's his business. He syndicates this broadcast, and we're lucky that he does it.
I'm sorry. All I said was that was worse than cancer and that I want to die. That's all I said.
He doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't want that, that cloud to hang over the forum. I mean, his chat. He doesn't want it. So why should he allow it?
All right. So if he lets me back in, please speak to him. I'll speak hair specific. I want to discuss something emotional because that's.
You can discuss things that are emotional, but you just, if the guy thinks you're over the top about your, whole chicks with cranks thing, or the fact that you want to kill yourself, or whatever, he's not interested in allowing that in the chat. It really creates a really shitty environment.
All right, I understand that. I know you have other callers, but can I just text Joe Tillman a couple of technical questions that I'm very confused about?
Go ahead. I'm going to take a break. I need another drink.
Joe, I'm extremely confused. The way you harvest hair from specifically, you don't harvest the nape, you don't harvest other areas besides the back and behind the ears and the lower fringe. All that nape hair that grows like I shave my nape hair 3 times a week. It grows so fast. Why can't you utilize that?
Look, well, keep in mind we're primarily a strip house. We do FUT, we do strip. We'll do occasional FUE when the situation calls for it. But when you're taking strip, you got to take it from a very specific area, and you cannot take it from the nape of the neck because that's got 2 fundamental disadvantages. Number one, nape hair is not permanent for a lot of guys, and I don't mean a few. I mean a strong percentage of men do not have permanent nape hair. And so if you transplant it to any other areas, the theory of donor dominance kicks in to where it just does not last, and it's a waste. And if the nape area starts to thin out, and you've had a strip taken from there, then, well, the strip scar will be more and more visible over time, not to mention the nape of the neck is a lot more prone for stretch back when it comes to scars as well. So when we're taking the strip, we got to take it from a very specific area. We have to be in the sweet spot, so to speak, which is above the nuchal ridge, which is the horizontal bone across the back of the scalp, about a quarter centimeter or less, give or take, depending on who you were dealing with. But right above that area, and then a lot of patients, it goes right up on the sides as well. And so that's where we get our hair.
So you don't go in front of the ear at all, the temple region. I think I've mentioned this before. You don't utilize all that hair at all.
You're talking, because you've asked me in the past about what do you call sideburn hair? Is that what you're talking about?
Sideburn and temple. Like my temple hair is virgin, and it grows so fast like I have to cut it once a week.
We've gone pretty far forward, but it's tricky, and it's not common because the hair has to be really strong. There are guys out there I've seen, and you might have noticed this as well, Norwood 6s, where they have absolutely no thinning or recession in the temple points. And that's what I think you're referring to, not the temples. The temple is up here at the hairline. The temple points is the triangular tuft of hair behind your eyebrows. Is that what you're talking about?
Right in front of your ears, where you're touching, right in front of your ears. That's what we're referring to. Right. Down further, right alongside your ear.
Yeah, that's the temple point, not the temple. And so,
to me, that hasn't been touched, like 4 inches.
Yeah. Well, we'll go towards that, but we won't actually go into it. That's a little far. I mean, I can't say no for every case out there, but in general, no, we don't go that far.
Yeah, but let's try to put this into perspective. I mean, I think that one of the telltale signs of a hair transplant or a hairpiece are the guys that really don't have that that temporal region, and the fact that it's very recessed. Why would you want to go in there, Joe, and destroy that area when guys are trying to build that up so they can look like they have a more natural result?
Me, Joe, or the other Joe?
Joe from Staten Island. Sorry.
Of course, the temple area, on me, it's virgin. They never touch it. So thick, it grows so long. I have to cut it like every week, and it's not doing me any good. I could use that on the top of my head.
Yeah, but once you remove that, if you replace that, and say you were able to switch full density, take it from the sides and put it on top, it's going to give you a very bizarre look, in my opinion. I think that there are grafts that are used, and Joe Tillman, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, building up those temporal points, I think, really adds to the to a much more a much better look, a less artificial look when it comes to hair transplantation. And there are also guys. Go ahead.
I was going to say I couldn't agree more. I mean, I was the first online to really champion the benefits of that because in my website from years ago, I kept pointing to my temple points and how it really gave balance to my profile. And as time went on, I learned that that's just really important. And like you said, I mean, the guys with the hair pieces or a poorly planned hair transplant, if they got a nice strong frontal zone but they have no temple points, there's something unusual. Yeah, it's off balance, like the profile. Like you got there's a the point here has to be in relation to the point here.
Right.
And if it's out of whack, then it draws the eye, and you might not necessarily know what's going on, but it is a sign that something's unnatural, for sure.
So Joe, I would not touch that area if I were you, and that's to me that's not something that you want to utilize for the top of your scalp. You're lucky that you have so much hair there. So you decided to wear a hairpiece one day, which you never will. I know that because you'd rather suffer in a dark room for the rest of your life. But
yes,
yeah, but many people really realize how fortunate they are to have that. And I mean, I have to tell you, like I feel very fortunate. that I still, I have a lot of hair on the sides. And that was the one thing that I noticed right away when I started to take finasteride, that I was losing that. And I was also thinning, kind of like in a diffuse way, all around the scalp. Sides of the scalp were getting much thinner. That reversed within the first 3 months. And I realized...
You were from Duper.
Well, I mean, to some degree. I mean, I was getting thinning on the sides. It wasn't necessarily Duper because I had a very strong... the back of my scalp was very strong. And the donor region in the back. But I realized how important that hair was once I regained it. And thank God, being on finasteride for the last 20 years, I've been able to maintain that hair for a long time. So if the day comes when I need to get a hair transplant, or if the day comes when I say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to shave the top and put on a hairpiece, I'll have a much better chance of looking like, this is how nature intended me to look, as opposed to having that artificial look that a lot of guys who are either wearing hairpieces or have hair transplants have. So I think, Joe, you don't realize how lucky you are. And according to some of the doctors that have had consultations with you, I mean, there's no doubt in their minds, at least, that you have, some degree of body dysmorphic disorder, and that you're not as bad off as you make yourself out to be on the radio.
Well, you remember I went to one doctor. He wanted to actually cut out all my hair on top. You don't have to mention his name. He's kind of more like reminds of a mortician. I'd rather not mention his name. I found that kind of odd.
I know, you call him the mortician. That's the nickname.
He wanted to do reverse hair transplant on me.
Well, I guess he thought that you were at the point where you were in your 50s already, or late 40s. And he thought that he can clean up the old plugs and kind of give you a, shave down. You can have a natural look. That's an option.
A bald man, completely bald man.
Yeah, but this is a guy that lives his life as a completely bald man. So in his mind, this is a reasonable option because he's able to do it. And I guess he figures, you know what, maybe this is the best option for you.
Well, I saw 5 doctors, and he's the only one who told me that. Well, everyone else wanted to add hair. He wanted to take hair. I found that pretty odd.
Well, Joe, you find a lot of things odd.
Well, one final question for Joe, please.
One final question. All right, and then we're going to take a break.
All right, what's up, Joe?
Joe, all right, we've already established Hassan and Wong does not use body hair transplants. We've already established that, correct?
Correct.
Now, can you tell me, it's one final question and only one final point. Give me 45 seconds. Can you tell me, is Hassan and Wong investigating being able to transplant hair from one person to another? I understand there's some kind of cyclosporin out today that only has to be used on a very sparingly from patient to patient to increase the donor area. Have you heard of this? And are you experimenting with this to increase the donor area?
What's the name of this product?
Hey, do me a favor, say that in English.
Cyclosporin, an anti-rejection medication. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, Joe.
No, we're not dealing with any sort of anti-rejection medication because at this point in time, you cannot transplant from one patient to another unless they are genetic twins. Period. End of story.
That might you inject the person with an anti-rejection medication called cyclosporin.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's. First of all, Joe, it's not going to work for everybody. You know, even when it was, if you look at statistics when it comes to organ transplants, organs are still rejected, even though there are patients who are taking heavy anti-rejection medication. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to keep that hair.
Not to mention, there are serious side effects with a lot of these medications, anti-rejection medications.
Yeah, and I think that Joe's trying to put it in perspective by saying that it's a lower dose and that it's probably going to be less of a chance of having adverse side effects. But even with that said, Joe, just the risk of losing that hair, having to go through that surgery, having the donor, whoever is a family member, whomever, lose that donor hair, and then the recipient possibly losing that donor hair and being left with just nothing but scars behind, I don't think it's a great risk at this point. And I think until they could actually figure out how to make sure that 100% of the time that the donor hair is not rejected, I think it's going to be a procedure that, maybe you're going to be able to get it done in a third world country somewhere eventually. but I don't think it's going to be happening here in the U.S. of A.
Well, Spencer, let me say this: there'll be plenty of people like who will be willing to sell their hair, like people who give blood. People actually will sell their blood.
Yeah, you're definitely. There's going to be a lot of homeless hair donors out there. I can guarantee you that.
No, I don't mean this in a negative way. It's a fact that plenty of people will be willing to give up their hair.
I know that.
You know what I'm saying?
I know that. The whole idea just creeps me out, though, to tell you the truth.
The whole idea what?
The whole idea just creeps me out. I just picture some like back alley hair donor clinic, and just a bunch of homeless guys waiting in line, for some, hack doctor to take out their donor strip.
I'd have a hard time with, even if it wasn't a back alley, if it was like in some high-end, Beverly Hills clinic, it's still someone else's hair on your head. No thanks.
What?
I'll pass.
Well, I don't think that's the end of the world, especially if it's somehow, I don't know, just devoid of the other person's DNA, or if they're somehow clean in some sense. I mean, let's face it. If you needed a heart, you take somebody else's heart, right, Joe?
Well, of course, yeah. That's life or death right there. But for cosmetic purposes, to have someone else's hair growing in your, I don't know. It's I'd have to think long and hard about it. But I'd also have to be in a bit different position than I am now to be able to consider that.
Yeah, well, listen, on that note, I'm going to take a break. Joe from Staten Island, thank you so much for hanging out. If you want to hold on, you're welcome as always. It's up to you. I know that you had a little hard on. You had a little hard on last week because Joe Tillman was on the air, so I don't know what to say at this point.
That's not true. People have made that people have circulated that rumor. Why do you say that for?
Because obviously there's a rumor out there. There's a rumor out there. I mean, what
rumor? I've heard that rumor.
I've gotten emails. I've gotten emails from some people who think they're in the know, and there's a whole rumor mill happening that you were very upset that Joe Tillman was on the air. Actually, I will tell you that Joe yesterday spoke to me, and Joe, I know you don't mind me saying this, and he was a little concerned for you. He actually asked me if I spoke with you because he heard that you were upset that he was on the air last week. I'm like, what are you, crazy? Joe's not upset about that. But then I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not now because so many people are saying it.
No, it really got me. I have nothing against Joe Tronic. I don't agree with everything he says. I have nothing against him. What really got me upset was Andrew throwing me at the chat room. I love talking to my great friends like Artista, Jerry, Ratty. That's what really freaked me out.
Well, if you stop the bullshit in the chat room, I'm sure he's not going to kick you out anymore. I mean, you're a 55-year-old man. Control yourself, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I try, but I don't think it's Joe Tronic. I like him. I really wish he'd have Hassan Awad fly me out free of charge. They want to make a real home run. They could help me. That'd be the biggest commercial they ever could make.
Dude, let me tell you something. They would be out of their minds. I know they would not do it. The way that you express yourself on the air and the fact that you are not happy, you would not be happy with anything less than a full head of hair. It would be suicide for them. I mean, let's face it.
That's not true, Spencer. If I could have significantly more hair than I have now, and my hair would grow, and they could make my hair transplants grow somehow, I would be the biggest commercial ever. Free of charge, of course.
Well, you know what? Maybe you can do an online consultation if they are interested. Who knows? But I can tell you this, based on some of the stuff that you've said online, you've said on the show over the years. I mean, I would think they'd probably shy away from you. I mean, what do you think, Joe?
Well, I've said it many times before. I've asked Joe to send in photos. All it takes is the first step, and we can't make any sort of assessment on his case without photos, and he's yet to send any in. So, Joe, if you're serious, if you want at least the opinion of 2 more doctors that are pretty good at what they do, send in some photos. It can't hurt. Take that step.
Joe, you want to do that? Do you want to do that, Joe?
I just feel, Spencer, the photos are very, don't tell the whole story. You know that.
Joe, you start with the photos, and then we can arrange a Skype consult. And then if you're serious, if you are 100% serious, we will hook you up with a consultation in Toronto, in Vancouver.
All right, I have to think about that. But you do know that Alan Sullivan wanted to perform surgery on me. You are aware of that.
I am aware of that, and I know that you can get anybody to perform surgery on you, for nothing. We know that you're a part of this show, but in my opinion, it's going to take a lot to make you happy.
No,
And you said yourself, Joe. Joe, you said yourself that coverage like my own on my head would not make you happy. You said that.
No, yeah, I would love to have your coverage. Are you kidding or what?
You've said it in the past, Joe. You said that, it's still thin, that you wouldn't be happy because even though, and Spencer even said, well, it looks like it's got, there's really good coverage, and, no one would know. You said yourself, I would know. Therefore, you would not be happy.
You wouldn't know, but I'm a hair loss expert. I would know.
But you see how you shoot yourself in the foot? You see how anyone in this industry would give you a hair transplant, but you shoot yourself in the foot by saying shit like that.
Why, Spencer? Explain it to me.
Because if you're unhappy with the procedure, no one's going to want to perform surgery on you for you to go out there and say, oh, you know what? I had surgery by so-and-so, but it sucked because I'm unhappy with the coverage. Who's going to do that for you? Who's going to put themselves in jeopardy, especially when you have so many thousands of people who are listening to what you say every week?
I would say millions, Bill. You'd say millions of people.
No, not anymore. But, I mean, we do pretty well.
No, I only have Joe. In my opinion, Joe Tillman. He has great coverage. I mean, I would accept that.
Let me tell you something. If you saw Joe, like right now, he's kind of like in a dark room. You don't really see the light in his scalp. If you saw him in person, and he was actually in my studio under pretty bright lights, I was really impressed. Really impressed. And it takes a lot to impress me when it comes to surgical hair restoration. I got to tell you, though, I mean, Specs looked amazing, too. Specs' hair characteristics really lend themselves to having the great results. So,
Specs
I mean,
I
had these two guys in my studio who both had many hair transplants. I mean, Specs had like 10. But you had how many? 4? 3? 5 now?
6. I think 6. Yeah, 2 with Dr. So-and-so and then 4 with Dr. Wong.
Yeah. I mean, these results are amazing. And you really have to look closely and know what you're looking for to see that these are transplanted hairs. So, I'm convinced, no matter what people say to me, no matter what bullshit I read online about, the fact that I am still promoting hair transplants, surgical hair restoration in the right hands, if you're the right candidate, performed by the right team, the right staff, is life-changing. And you look at a guy like Joe Tillman, who was so fucked by 2 prior surgeries. He's a repair patient. And for him to walk into my studio and for me to look at him, I mean, honestly, if I saw him on the street, I may think, okay, his hair is not, the hair of a 25-year-old. But I wouldn't even think he was losing his hair because it just looks like an age-appropriate head of hair. So, but apparently you're not happy with that, Joe. You wouldn't be happy.
I'd be very happy.
But why? But you say that now. But how many times have you said to Joe that you wouldn't be happy with that? How many times have you said to me that you questioned Joe Tillman's Joe Chonick's hair transplant? It's not what you would want. You've said that on the air. Come on, we have it on.
No, I wouldn't.
It's recorded, dude.
I have psychological problems. Maybe I was I suffer from bipolar disorder. You know that, Spencer. Is that correct?
I do know that, but I mean, we have the recordings. I mean, if you go back to the archives, if you go on YouTube or look at GFQ, you're going to see that. That's what
I have said that. Maybe because I was in a bad mood or something. I'm a very frustrated guy, Spencer. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know, but that's what always frustrated me. I'm like, shit. I mean, if you can't be happy with this, then forget about it. Then you're relegated. You're relegated to that hat for the rest of your life. So did Joe.
Well, what?
Joe Tillman had a depleted donor area. Did you see the plugs this guy was walking around with? It was ridiculous. No offense.
Yeah, but he'd have 5 or 4 million.
No, it's the truth. I had, it was pluggy and I had 2 donor scars in the back of my scalp. So, it was only because my scalp was like that of a mutant that I was able to get 360 grafts in 4 sessions.
I mean, he got his hair back. He married a hot broad, and his whole life has changed, dude. You know, you're sitting
Very hot man, you said?
abroad. I don't mean to call her broad. Hot
We
woman.
should have a very hot guy.
A very attractive young woman. And you know, I mean, you're sitting there in your boxer shorts, Joe.
No, I'm actually in the news, Spencer.
Okay, with your hat and the napkin on your head, and you're 50,
I'm not wearing
50
a hat. My door's locked.
55 years old. And this is the way you're living. This is the way you choose to live your life. And yes, hair loss seriously affected you. It affects so many people in different ways. And the fact that you had some bad surgeries is fucked up. But you have allowed this to destroy you. That's the difference. And you don't seem like, at least according to what you've said all these years, you've told us that you would not be satisfied unless you got full coverage. Now maybe because you're not on drugs tonight, or maybe for whatever reason, or maybe you're just kind of coming to terms with the fact that we have to work within these parameters and these limitations. And now you're saying that you would be happy. I just don't know if that's true. I hope that it is. I hope at some point you'll kind of concede and say, you know what, I want to get some help.
I would be happy, Spencer, but if I could utilize my beard, I have very limited donor area to work with. If I could utilize my beard, that would be the holy grail for me. Cut my whole fucking beard out, I wouldn't care. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, but there's still that stubbornness where you won't even take that first step. That first step, let these guys, whether it's Hassan and Wong, whether it's John Cole, whatever IHRS doctor you think that you feel comfortable with, let them see what they can do. Let them kind of make an assessment and give you an idea of what they think they can do for you.
But you know, I went to Alan Feller. He looked at me. He studied my hair, and he said he'd start with 1,500.
Maybe if you're convinced that your beard hair could help to supplement your donor, maybe you need to speak with a guy like Chris Pasanga or I mean, we live in a completely new world now. Where
what do you mean supplement your donor? What do you mean by that?
Your beard, dude, to supplement the donor area.
Oh, my beard.
Yeah. But I mean, we live in a time where we can communicate with people from across the world. They can see us in an instant. You can get on Skype and you can talk to these guys. And if it's not Hassan and Wong, if it's not John Cole, if it's not Paul McAndrew, if it's not Ron Shapiro, it could be somebody in Europe. It can be Dr. Prasanga or Dr. whomever. Anyone you think that might be able to help you, you can have consultations with these guys and take the time and get an idea of what they think they can do for you.
Spencer, I've been to Five Eye. Everyone tells me something different. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I know that, man, but you can't. Everything's an excuse with you. Get all of the information, gather that data, and then you can bring it to us, and we can kind of help you decide, what might be best for you.
Definitely. I'm going to say one more quick thing. I have nothing against Joe Trank. That's wrong. And people also started a rumor that you fired me last week. You've heard that too, right?
Yeah. First of all, you don't work for me. You never have.
No, I don't work. I don't get paid.
And I can't. How am I going to fire you? You want to call the show unless I had such a hard on for you, Joe. You did something really screwed up. You're always welcome to call the show. You're always welcome to be. You're always welcome to be a part. You're always welcome to be a part of this broadcast. Whatever Andrew decides to do with his chat room, that's his. He owns that company.
No, I understand that. Spencer, I've been with you 15 years. I've never betrayed, gone against you. You certainly, I've always been loyal.
Same with me, right, Joe?
Yes, you have. You've tried to help me as much as you can.
So there you
as
go.
Difficult as that is, but you've tried.
But can I take a break now? I've been trying to take a break for the last 11 minutes. I want to have a drink.
Yes,
I got to take a piss.
Joe Trank, so stop the rumors out there, okay? And I'm not fired unless Spencer orders it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Take
Joe.
A break.
Joe, feel free to hold on. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren, here with Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor. I'm going to say that until people kind of get it and know who you are, especially the guys who are just tuning in. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. We have a couple of lines open if you want to call in to ask questions, if you want to vent, if you want to talk about your hair transplant experience, or if you're considering surgery, or if you're about to get into the chair tomorrow and you're not sure if you're making the right decision. Now is the time to ask some questions. It's never too late to get out of it. until you actually go through the procedure. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The man who's helping to make hair loss history.
They wish to cure us, but I say we are the cure.
It's Spencer David Kobren.
Hey guys, welcome back. Phone number 888-659-3727. We are live from Los Angeles. Great to be back live on the air doing the Bald Show. That was my old sidekick, Dave Salazzo. I haven't heard from him in a long time. But I think that is probably a great, I guess would the word be metaphor? A great example of his attitude, how he took the show seriously, or didn't take it as seriously as he should have. I don't know if that's true. Oh, we actually missed Dave a little bit here at the show. I should try to contact him and see how he's doing. I know that Joe.
He's doing. He's a nice guy.
Very nice guy. 888-659-3727 is his phone number. Joe. Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in. Yeah, obviously listen to the hair loss show. I'm here with Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor, live on the air with me from his from the TBT studios in Vancouver.
Compound North.
Yeah, the Compound North.
TBT
so I'm just drinking a little vodka and soda. I don't have any fruit in the house. So I have no lime or lemon. So it basically looks like water, but I assure you that's not.
I was wondering what that was. I thought Spencer's going he's going clean tonight, and here I am sitting with a glass of fine Merlot.
Well, it is
I
clean.
thought I was alone in this.
Vodka is very clean for me. It doesn't give you much of a hangover if you drink too much of it, and it's a lot better than the dark alcohols, the scotches and the bourbons and.
True that. I rarely touch that kind of stuff. I love a good scotch. Make no mistake. I mean, a good scotch is hard to beat, but it's rare that I get involved with that because I like a good wine. That's enough for me right now. Beer,
as we know, it can get very ugly very quickly.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So that's,
and I know you're holding that video over my head. I still haven't received a copy of it.
Yeah. Well, I chose not to send anybody. It's funny because. Specs asked for a copy. You asked for a copy. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I want either of you to have that evidence of each other because I'm not even on the video. It's you guys. And it is very interesting, I have to tell you. A lot of dancing going on.
Not with each other, just so everyone knows.
I think someone actually got on the pool table. I'm not going to say who. But it was a very interesting evening. We were discussing off the air we've discussed this last week. Excuse me. All of the misinformation that's being put out there online, and all of the fact that there are forum users on all the message forums that really they kind of think of themselves as experts in the field. They garner their information from stuff that they've read online or maybe information that they receive from people that they're communicating with behind the scenes through different message forums. And then they put this information out as though it's the gospel. And some of the shit that I read is not only is it extremely entertaining and it's fascinating, but it's just like, holy shit. This conspiracy theories and the total naivete of some of what's being written out there and some of the bullshit that's being perpetuated online. And I found it interesting when I read that thread that Joe from Staten Island pointed out, and then something was said about you guys, Hassan and Wong splitting graphs, and then all of a sudden a forum member says, hey, I didn't know that Hassan and Wong split graphs or something like that. And all of a sudden, it's like the telephone game. And all of a sudden, this type of information gets put out there like it's the gospel. and it can be, spread far and wide all over the internet. If it's said enough times, people think it's true. And sadly, that's in my view, the current climate of what's going on in the online message forums. And we touched on it last week, Joe, about the dumbing down of the internet. But it's bad, man. I mean, it really is bad. People who think they understand what's going on, who think they understand this industry, who are putting this information out there are misleading. Really, I think it's dangerous for these young guys who are reading this information.
Well, no, you're absolutely right, and yeah, like I said last week, and like I've been telling you for a while now, it is the dumbing down of the internet, and what you said is true. Where if something is said enough times, it becomes truth, and it mirrors a saying that me and Mr. Furco have, that perception becomes reality, and
right.
It's amazing to me how if something is, I think it's called urban legend, if something's repeated enough, it like you said, it becomes the gospel, it becomes fact, quote unquote. Right. And it is an absolute amazing thing to watch how something can be latched onto. And here's a perfect example. This happened 10 years ago. Okay, do you remember Futzy Head?
Of course. How can I forget that, dude?
How can you forget Futzy Head? Okay, so for those of you that weren't around 10 years ago, which is all of you, except for Joe from Staten Island, there was a guy that was one of our patients named Futzy Head. No, that wasn't his real name. It was his online handle. But he had a phenomenal transplant. Even today, it stands up as being one of the best ever. And he made one post about using MSM, which is a mineral that you can get at any health food store, any grocery store in the vitamin section.
I remember that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about how it made his nails grow faster. He was a amateur guitarist, and so he'd have to cut his nails once a week instead of twice a week. That's how he quantified its efficacy, and his hair would grow faster. And like wildfire, I'm telling you, this spread into a miracle cure.
I know.
I should take MSM after my hair transplant so it comes in stronger, so that my hair, goes above and beyond what a transplant could ever do. And I remember, Jesus, it was like I was scratching my head. How the hell did this happen? And I can't pinpoint when it did happen, but if anyone has ever been wondering where the hell this whole MSM came from, it came from Futzy Head 10 years ago. And it's still going strong.
I have an even better story. That's a pretty good story because Futzy Head was just communicating online. Mm-hmm. But before I wrote The Bald Truth, there wasn't a single company out there that was selling a combination of saw palmetto, Pygeum africanum, stinging nettle, and other herbs to treat hair loss. Within 1 month of the publication of The Bald Truth, it was like wildfire. All of a sudden, I was starting to see products being promoted on the small guys initially, promoting these combination products on the internet. And then there was a company that put out an infomercial about 6 months after the book was published. And to this day, products are being sold claiming to stop and prevent hair loss based on the original formula that I put in my book. Because at the time, I believed, and I've retracted these statements since, that these herbal supplements could actually mimic finasteride. And I believe, because I was taking both the herbs and finasteride, that I was getting a modified and just a better overall result from taking both treatments combined. Within 3 years, I realized, after all these people were contacting me, and after I read a little bit more of the scientific data that had come out since then, that these products can cause side effects just like finasteride, and that there really wasn't any clinical data showing that these products grew hair. I mean, it did show that they lowered DHT, which obviously helped with benign prostate hyperplasia, but there was no significant data showing that it helped with hair loss. So I withdrew those statements, and I told people that, you know what, I regret writing that herbal chapter.
But now they got your picture in the back of the book, as endorsed by Spencer Kobren.
That's right. But to this day, I can't talk people out of it.
Yeah.
They think it's going to help with their hair loss. So I get it, man. I know how these things work. And what's fascinating is you see the same bullshit repeated on multiple forums by guys who are just, they spend their lives posting on the internet. So it appears to be like, especially to the new guys, okay, this has been repeated enough. This must be legitimate information. And it's such nonsense. And it used to really frustrate me. But now when I take the time to read the forums, well, it still frustrates me. I'm like, I just shake my head. I'm like, I can't believe it. I can't believe that there's a new crop of guys waking up every day falling for this shit. And how do we change that? It's almost impossible.
Well, look, you say something with enough conviction, people are going to believe your BS, right? I mean, if you say it enough times, obviously a few people will latch on to it. But if you come across and you look people in the eye and you say, you need to believe my bullshit, then they will. And that's just human nature. I mean, as people in today's society, we're too quick to believe what we hear without, as Furco likes to say, without doing the Paul Harvey, finding out the rest of the story. Right, the other side of the coin, and people are lazy, and especially now compared to years ago, where they will read what someone online says is the gospel, and they're like, okay, yeah, it must be the case, and they don't actually check it out themselves.
But think about it. I mean, people read from, I don't want to name any of these handles online, but you think about the names that some of these guys make up to create their online presence. And they're reading this content, this information from somebody who they have never met, have no real world credentials whatsoever. And they take this as though it is the God's honest truth. And you see these guys who become revered on these message forums just because they are able to kind of, put out what appears to be, scientific data, information that they can, get from, other people's websites, a lot of cut and pasting, shit like that. It looks, official. It looks like these guys know what they're talking about. There was a guy, I'm not going to name his last name. His first name was Brian. That's been on the message forums for many years, and originally on Alt.Baldspot. That was fucking revered. Now, I don't know if this guy ever was able to save his hair, but I can almost guarantee that he's probably walking around bald at this point. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but there's a lot of guys like that. Nice guy, these are all helpful people. But they get this kind of online, status. They're put on this pedestal, and these young guys are out there asking them questions on how to use certain vehicles with certain, certain products that are being sold through the gray market and all this stuff. None of these guys, in my view, really know what the fuck they're talking about. And if they did, they wouldn't be bald.
See, and that's the common sense approach that people don't take.
Right.
And some of these guys that come up with these, like you're talking about the delivery vehicles for this medication or that medication, I gotta wonder, what is the look on the pharmacist's face when these guys walk in saying they need such and such because they're concocting their own.
Well, most of the time they're buying it from these online providers. And I have to tell you, there's one guy that's being promoted a lot. I'm not even going to mention his name online. And I'm sure he's thinking to himself, he's watching what happens on these forums, and he is just smiling and thinking, because what he's doing is not illegal. He's selling these vehicles and, these powders and these concoctions to these poor guys who, are hoping against hope that it's going to help them. Maybe it does to some degree. I don't know I don't know for sure. I doubt that it does because I've never known anyone who's treated themselves with these preparations or these drugs, whether it's RU5, 8841, or whatever it is, for the long term, who have actually been able to maintain their hair for long periods of time. But, who knows? There may be plenty of people out there that haven't contacted us.
You know what pisses me off about that? I get referenced as someone who makes their living from the hair industry, yet I've not dove into this, that field of the hair restoration field in the least. And if I did, I could make bank.
Oh,
what the hell? What the hell's wrong with me? Jesus, man.
You say that all the time, and that's the truth. Any one of us. Listen, and I mean, you guys you built your reputation online. You work with Hassan Wong, and a guy like Specs has repped some doctors and built his reputation online. But all I have to do is say that this shit works.
Yeah.
And put a seal on it from the American Hair Loss Association, and I can sell anything that I want to sell. And what I find fascinating is when I read what some of these guys have written about me over the years, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should just sell a product or sell out and just sit back with a big fucking grin on my face and laugh at these guys. Because, they bust my balls when I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
And obviously I can't do that, and neither can you. But I just find it fascinating. These guys are so naive. They have no idea what we could do if we chose to take that route. How much money we could make if we decided to sell out or to, kind of move over to the dark side. And frankly, no one would know. It wouldn't make a difference.
By the way, we need to talk about something after the show. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Something bad, something good.
No, it's a money-making scheme. I got an idea. Ideas are flowing in my head, man.
888-659-3727. Listen, I will tell you a funny story. Hair transplant doctor contacted me a couple of years ago. He happens to be a very funny guy. And we were talking about this whole donor regeneration thing that's out there online. And he said, listen, why don't we, and he was joking around, but he had a couple of drinks in him. He's like, why don't we just, put together a business plan and say that we've been able to accomplish, donor regeneration by injecting this, and that. And, we can get some venture capital. We can go out there with your name and with my name. And it'll take about 2 years before we're found out. And he did the math, and he said, these are how many patients we could treat. And in that 2-year period, we could each make, based on a relatively nominal fee, it was $52 million a piece. And he said, and we could just walk away. And it wouldn't make a difference. Because what we would be doing wouldn't have been illegal. We wouldn't have been investigated by the Federal Trade Commission, anything like that.
Jesus.
And, we laughed about it. I'm like, shit, man, there are guys who are in our position who would love to do something like that. And I think about that's the reality of the position that we're in. And when these guys who don't know what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to really guide them in a safe direction give us shit, it amazes me. But this doctor is actually very, very funny, and obviously he's a completely ethical guy. But when he has a couple of drinks in him, he likes to call me up and joke around about some stuff. That's how easy it is to, and that's why I brought this up. That's how easy it is to take advantage of vulnerable hair loss sufferers. So when I see doctors going onto the message forum and pandering to these poor guys, and I see all these conversations going on, we're put in a position where if we stifle these conversations, then we are put out to, we're looked at with a jaundiced eye. All of a sudden we're trying to quell this discussion because we're afraid that it's going to interfere with our business model. And then if we allow it to go on, then it's like, why isn't this stopped? We've already found out that this particular doctor is a fraud. Why is this conversation allowed to continue on the forum? You can't win. You just can't win. What about that guy in India recently who's been out there? He actually contacted me, and he's all pissed off that I haven't allowed him on the program, whatever it is. He kind of disappeared recently. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah.
I think.
And,
yeah.
you know, he basically took over the forums for several months. You know,
Well,
I don't understand how these kids can believe in all this stuff.
That's what we're talking about. I mean, you know, that he's basically, in my opinion, taking the formula that you and this other doctor were joking about and making it reality. That's...
Dude, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I don't want any lawyers' letters. I didn't say it.
I understand. But look, it's... I mean, just show some photos, for crying out loud, that are clear and focused. It's not that hard, people. And look, you can sit there and you can debate left and right about the science and the fuzzy math and all the BS back and forth. It's all meaningless until you have before and after, side by side, clear and focused with the proper lighting. That's all there is to it.
Listen, I'll give you a prime example of this. Years ago, and I'm going to bring this up again for like the 100th time, Ray Woods came to me to talk about the Woods technique, to show me what he was able to do, which is, you know, basically everyone knows that the Woods technique was the precursor to, you know, today's FUE. Yep. There wasn't a doctor who believed in what he did, but he was able to show me not only before and after photos, but videos and video of his technique and exactly what he was doing. And he made me a believer. He made me a believer to the point where I presented this to the doctors here in the U.S. And I really, you know, I'm not going to say forced their hand, but I said, listen, this could be a big part of the future of this industry. Don't dismiss this. This can help a lot of patients. And there were a handful of guys that finally listened to me, and John Cole being one of them, that decided to take this seriously. And now FUE is a part of just about every doctor's practice, except for Hassan Wong at this point, and some other guys. But I understand why. But it has become part of the fabric of this industry for a reason. Now, unfortunately, some guys have taken, you know, advantage of the situation, marketed as a, you know, as a superior procedure to everything else that's out there. I don't necessarily agree. Or I don't agree at all, actually. But the point that I'm trying to make is he was legitimate. He came to me and was able to show me the money, so to speak. He was able to show me what he was doing. This particular guy hasn't been able to do that yet. I know he's pissed at me because I want to allow him on the program, and I did say that we can kind of figure out a way to kind of get him out there. But I think people have to understand that we're allowing this conversation to kind of unfold on Bald Truth Talk message forums. So in my view, it's a very similar, you know, I'm kind of giving the guy his play. But what I find unfortunate is that these young guys, these young, desperate guys are, you know, I mean, they're hoping against hope and hoping that this guy is going to come up with something that is going to basically save them from, you know, the fate that unfortunately we've all had to deal with. And I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition, but I think it's unfair for the, you know, for these guys to be made to believe that this technology is being stifled by the mainstream, you know, hair loss industry, when in fact it's not. If it was real, if it is real, we're going to find out soon enough. And all of us will promote it because it only benefits the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like this. Once the prospect of a cure or, you know, the true hair cloning or, you know, whatever, to where I can get a full head of hair comes out, I will beat people down to be front of the line. I will be screaming from the rooftops because in the end, I'm still a patient. I still have hair loss. My crown is thin. I want my crown to be thicker. The front I'm happy with, but you know, it's there's no suppression of information going on, you know, with Spencer, with myself, with the industry, because there's just too, I mean, financially, there's too much money to be made. I mean, this comes out, it'll be a windfall for all clinics involved.
And I stated that, you know, last week or the week before that, you know, if something like this really, whether it's, you know, Cohen Go or Dr. Negum, whomever, I would get involved in a very, very big way. I would open up a clinic here in Los Angeles. I'd open up a clinic in New York. I have the wherewithal and the means to make this happen, and I also have basically built-in marketing that very few people who get involved in this industry have. It would be a slam dunk for me, and I would make far more income than I'm currently making now, working within the parameters of of what I've developed. Why wouldn't I do that? I'd have to be out of my mind not to do that. If this shit worked, I would be on it. And frankly, you would see me on this radio program, on this broadcast, on this internet broadcast, with my hair combed back, with a full head of hair.
Yeah.
In all of its glory, living my life and enjoying this incredible full head of hair. No hairspray, no head paint. I would be, like you said, the first in line. So
you'd actually be sitting at your pool with a microphone, with your hair slicked back in the sunshine, and a margarita.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't be in your studio doing this anymore. Those days would be gone. Period.
That's right. I mean, it wouldn't have to be the perfect storm or the right lighting to make sure my hair is just right. You would see me. I would have like a full-on fan blowing on my hair right now. And no, but I mean, I'm not even when I see some of the stuff that's written that the hair transplant industry is shaking in its boots because of whatever it's Go or Negan. It's all bullshit. It's such nonsense written by really just immature, people who don't understand business, who don't understand the industry, who don't understand, the position that we're in, and this includes you. We would be able to just do so much if this really was reality, or if we believed it was reality. Right now, listen, I will say this: Dr. Go has been nothing but a gentleman to me, and that's why I've allowed the conversation to continue on Bald Truth Talk, and that's why we gave him his own section, because it's such an interesting topic, and I'm fascinated by it, and I'm hoping that he continues to improve upon his current technique. But I've told him this. I said, look, if I wanted to back this, I would, and right now I can't. And he's cool with it. He doesn't care. But when I see these patients come out and they're so adamant about their beliefs, what's it based on? I don't see any evidence. So there you go.
It's a funny thing. I mean, it's based on hope. It's based on the overwhelming desire for something they don't have, which is their hair. And I can understand that to a degree. I mean, you want something so bad you'll believe it and you'll defend it to your last breath, if need be, even though you haven't a shred of evidence. But unfortunately, it's the world we live in. I mean, some people, they believe, and some maybe call it faith. Who knows? But we're not talking about faith in a deity. We're talking about faith in something that hasn't, it should be tangible enough to show proof of.
Look, there's been a lot of, we've been around for a long time. We've seen the faith. We've seen the guys that have come and gone, the guys that have been out there promoting hair multiplication that are now in jail, the guys that, have just provided this, in my opinion, false hope to guys who, in the end, I think that as long as some of these guys just aren't harmed, that's great. But they're still wasting their precious time. They're wasting their money. They're wasting their real opportunity to potentially save at least some of the hair that they have on their scalps, on their heads. The guys that are selling snake oils, the guys that are selling these, procedures that have no, real data behind it. It's unfortunate. It really is. And I see, especially on the forums, these young guys who are just spending so much time discussing these different, techniques and these, these gray market products. I'm like, shit, man.
You know what? It just comes down to doing, working with what has been proven effective. And, and this reminds me.
what's been proven effective, I don't mean to cut you off, I want you to finish your thought, but what's been proven effective to some, especially the younger guys, is like, considered poison. And that's what's, frightening to me, because when we were coming up, when we were lucky enough to get our hands on finasteride, when, the information out there was based on the clinical data and some anecdotal stuff that was being written about it online, by thousands of people, mind you. For years, there was no talk about this long-term adverse side effect stuff. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but for years, I'm talking about for 7 years, there was nothing. And now all of a sudden, it has just snowballed into finasteride is poison, dutasteride is poison. Guys will not, they will do whatever they can, put whatever, they can on their head, whether it's, fucking cow shit on their head, before they take this pill that we know works.
Perception becomes reality.
That's exactly right. It's amazing to me. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking about, the thought that you've repeated multiple times is, why hold out for these medications or experimental procedures that you can't even get your hands on when you have proven technology right in front of you in the form of the medications that are FDA approved. And this is another thing that really gets me confused, I guess, is when I've been out on the message boards and I've told people, hey, we've seen some anecdotal evidence that when you're dealing with medication like finasteride, there might be a difference between the generic and the name brand. You've seen this, right? Sure. And I was actually I was reviewing some of those threads where I've posted this because I wanted to try and find some guys to come online and talk about this, because to call on the show, because there are guys that have come forward and said, I experienced an issue with the generic versus the name brand. You're right. And I had other guys saying, well, this is bullshit because, well, the FDA, they were, by law, you have to have the, equivalent, bioequivalent medication. And that's not the case. I mean, yeah, maybe by law you have to, but just because it's by law doesn't mean you actually have the bioequivalency.
Right. And I also think it depends on the manufacturer of the product.
Yeah, it does. It does. And so, it's just another one of those things that I find fascinating is, I had someone actually accuse me of being in bed with Merck by pushing the name brand. And I looked at my response back then. This was like a couple years ago. I couldn't make a dent in the bottom line for Merck by recommending the name brand versus a generic.
Dude, and the thing is, I can, but I don't make any money from Merck. And I tell people, listen, I will not switch from name brand because it's worked for me. I mean, if something works for you, yeah, if you're going to save a couple of bucks, you know what? Try to save it. Don't go out drinking that, once a week. Instead of going out drinking 3 days a week, go out drinking 2 days a week, and you will make up the difference. Because if you're doing well, brand name, do not switch. Do not mess with a good thing. And I've had guys. I actually had a physician that had the audacity to come on to my website. He treats guys with post finasteride syndrome. And he came on my forum and he basically caused a tremendous amount of ruckus, just a big crazy issue. And our moderator kicked him off, and he went onto his own website and said that I was in bed with Merck and that I didn't want the truth to be out. I don't work with Merck. Merck is not a sponsor of this broadcast. Now, many years ago when I was on terrestrial radio, Merck bought airtime through the radio stations, just like anybody else could have bought airtime from the radio stations. But Merck does not sponsor this broadcast directly. And, I'm an independent broadcaster, and I have no affiliation with Merck, period. I wish I did. I would love for them to pay for this broadcast, but they don't. But I believe in their product because it changed my life. And I tell guys, listen, I believe in name brand for anything, but especially when it comes to this, I would never switch to generic. And you're right. I've known so many guys who have contacted us who decided to go from 1 milligram Propecia, the name brand, and they would buy 5 milligrams of finasteride generic, and they would lose ground. And it's disturbing.
It's amazing.
You know
It's
what?
disturbing. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to say goodnight to Joe from Staten Island, who has been kind enough to hold on for the last 15 years on this 15-year anniversary of the Ball of Truth. Joe, is that you?
It's amazing.
Of course, it is, Spencer.
Joe, I want to thank you for reminding me that we've been on the air for 15 years. It's actually quite depressing for me that I'm still here. But thank you for that.
Spencer, I like you and I respect you, but I really hope that we're not going to be celebrating a 20th anniversary together.
I can almost guarantee that's not going to happen. Because I am on my way out. You know, honestly, no. I enjoy the program. I enjoy being able to communicate with all you guys out there, and especially for the guys that really understand what we're doing and appreciate what we're doing. We try to create a safe place. We try to create an environment where, you know, guys, men and women can talk about an issue that society doesn't allow us to talk about. And I know that everybody really wants to, you know, get the latest and the greatest in the news, and, you know, they want to learn about whatever innovation is happening in this industry. Let me tell you something. It's a slow-moving ship, as you know, Joe. So I don't mean to disappoint those, especially the young guys.
Shockingly slow.
Especially the young guys who think that something is going to come to fruition overnight, and all of a sudden all of their hair loss woes are going to be, you know, left behind. I can't promise that, and frankly, that's probably not going to happen during this broadcast. But what we can offer, Joe, is people a safe place to learn and to share and to just be a part of something that, unfortunately, you know, it's a fraternity that we don't want to be a part of, but at least we have each other. And that's why I do this every week, and that's why I've been doing this for the last 15 years. And
So let's be honest, in 1998, I don't think either of us thought we'd be on the air in 2013. We still don't have an effective treatment.
I certainly didn't.
Either of us expected that.
I certainly didn't think. I thought I may be in like Ryan Seacrest's position at this point. I certainly didn't think I'd be doing the Bald Show in 2013. But no, Joe, you're right. You know, what am I going to do? It is what it is.
People blame you. It's not your fault.
People are stupid.
You know what I'm saying?
The general population doesn't know shit. That's just the way that it is. You know, we are. I didn't even know what to say when I hear these things and I see what's written about, you know, whether it's me or somebody else in the industry. It's mind-boggling. It really is. It really is. I want this to end for everybody, including myself.
I know you do.
Including my family members. I do not need to do this to make a living. I don't need this at this stage in my life. You know, I'm I've done, you know, a lot in my life. I feel very fortunate as far as, you know, how I've been able to evolve my life and the accomplishments that I've made in my life. And if I chose to close these doors tomorrow, whether it's close the IHRS, whatever it is, I will be fine. And that's important for people to know. I continue to do what I do because it's needed right now. I hope that the day comes when it's no longer needed, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I tell you the truth, we thought a couple of years ago would be happening a lot sooner. I'm getting to lose, not say hope, but what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm getting to be a little bit disappointed.
You're jaded. You're disappointed. You're jaded. I get it, dude. I get it. But listen, guys.
So one more quick thing. We always have a Joe and Jerry show. Andrew said he may produce that. Jerry's listening.
Yeah, that would be great. We have the Joe and Jerry show. It's going to be called.
We'd have Joe Tronic on Artista.
It's going to be called Chicks with Cranks with Joe and Jerry.
See, the words are going to be trouble now.
Cranks. Where the hell does it even come from? Cranks.
Very nice. Can I say this, Joe? Are you as handsome in person as you appear on the video?
I think he's even more handsome in person.
Jesus, how am I going to answer that?
Joe, you better watch your hair.
Guys, listen, I want to thank obviously Joe from Staten Island for calling in. Thank you for reminding me it's our 15th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, man.
Thank you, man. Happy anniversary to you, Joe. And we love you here at the Ball Truth. You know that, so don't ever get down on that fact. And Just because Joe Tillman is taking your place, don't get upset. All right.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, dude. Just relax.
You're a special guest.
It's a joke.
It's
a joke. You still have your role here, the same role you've always had. All right.
No, Andrew kicked me out of the chat room.
All right, we'll get you back in. All right.
All right. God bless you, Ben. God bless you, Joe Tillman, and God bless all you sufferers out there.
God bless America. Take care, Joe.
God bless you, Joe. Bye-bye.
Oh, Jesus. It just never ends with that guy. Joe Tillman, hair transplant mentor. You can obviously see him on the Bald Truth Talk forums. If you have any questions or concerns about your hair loss, I think he's a good guy to contact for sure. And I'm sure that if you direct your questions directly to Joe on the message forum, he'd be more than happy to help you out as well. We're going to have Joe. I think Joe's doing pretty well. We're gonna keep him around for a while. So perhaps we'll have him on our next show, our next live show. Maybe not. We'll see. It's up to him. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us. Next week we got to work on your camera angle. I love the camera, but we need to be a little closer in next time.
I think you're right. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's all about the detail. I actually wasn't planning on being available till next week. You called me last minute. Let's do this. So. It's your fault, but I'm looking.
Sound like common law.
I'm looking for some equipment. I want to get little soundproofing or sound absorption panels like you got to kind of cut down the echo. I don't know if you can hear it, but I hear an echo in here. And I got a room I want to set up, and yeah, it's exciting. I enjoy it, and it's a great vehicle for me to interact with people that, or in a way that I normally can't, except for the occasional time that I would call in from time to time. So I'm enjoying it. I hope I can stick around.
Well, absolutely, man. I think you're gonna be a great asset to the Bald Truth family. You have been for a long time, but now people get to see you on camera on a regular basis, and I will hook you up with your studio. You let me know when you want to move forward, then I'll help you with the materials and stuff like that. Guys, I want to thank all of you for hanging out. Let me give out the website, thebaldtruth.com, for archives of this broadcast. If you want, why is my nose red? If you want to get basic information about hair loss, you can check out the American Hair Loss Association. And, really, there's a lot of great information for both men and women on that site. That's AmericanHairLoss.org. If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, check out our message forum, which is baldtruthtalk.com. Again, baldtruthtalk.com. Remember, take some of what's on there with a grain of salt. You realize that it's a place where a lot of the content is generated by our users. And in some cases, it's a place where people can exchange ideas and information, but it's not always 100% accurate. So really do your due diligence when you're going through these message forums and try to, just take the source into consideration.